The objective of my 20% project was to build my very own computer, which is something that I've wanted to do for a while now in my life. I started this project by breaking down one of the old computers in my house, as you can see here. I actually found the experience very helpful and fulfilling because beforehand, I had done a lot of research about the parts of the computer and how the parts connect to one another, but actually seeing them in front of me and not just pictures online. It helped me a lot during the project. With the motivation to understand how computers work, what once seemed like a bunch of fragile metal pieces in a box turned into a simplified puzzle, one I knew how to solve. After a couple months of research, I went on to order the parts to the build of the PC, which I have now made, consisting of the processor, motherboard, case, graphics card, power supply, hard drive, optical drive, and RAM. I also went on to buy a monitor, a keyboard, and an operating system, which in this case is Microsoft Windows 8.1. My original plans for this project were to tape myself building the computer itself, but unfortunately I figured I did not have enough hands nor the equipment to do that, so instead I took pictures of my progress along the way. The process started with organization and safety. I organized my parts in front of me so that I knew where everything was, which is essential to the start. Spending so much time and money on these parts, I wanted to make sure I had everything. I bought an ESD or electrostatic discharge wristband, which protected both me and my parts from static electricity. Again, these parts were not cheap. I opened the case and mapped out my game plan. I immediately began installing the power supply, which is usually the first step to the process, only taking a few screws. This unit converts the electricity in the wall to the types and quantities of electricity my machine needs. Second, I went to work with my motherboard, which is the part that connects everything else together. I installed the processor first, which handles all the major logical functions of the computer, and stock cooling fan on top. Then, I attached the RAM to the DDR3 memory slots on the motherboard, which holds short-term memory. After I was done with those two components, I went on to install my motherboard into the case using screws and standoffs. My optical drive went into its appropriate tray, ready to read CDs and DVDs, while my 2TB hard drive was in place to store my long-term memory. What followed was hours of probably the least fun part of the process: wire management. Wire management is all about conserving space within the system so that air may not be blocked from proper ventilation. Wire management could mean the difference between the system overheating and running perfectly. After all the wires were connected to the corresponding parts, I installed the graphics card into my gaming PC and the main process was complete. What a beauty. I then installed some extra cathodes for added lighting so that I could see inside the computer case for dust buildup and or blockages. I hooked up my peripherals of my monitor, keyboard, and mouse to begin boot up. I proceeded to install my Windows 8.1 onto my hard drive and installed my drivers as well as my updates needed to complete a clean boot up. After all is said and done, I love what has resulted from my hard work over these past few months, and I am grateful that I've finally had the opportunity to do something I've been hoping to do for so long now. I do plan on taking my computer to college, where hopefully I can put it to good use. I believe that the biggest lesson I've taken away from this project is that when you want to pursue something in life, build your motivation and don't let anything stop you. Because in this day and age, the knowledge and assistance you need to reach your goals are at the tips of your fingers.